Hello, I'm Catherine Cook, Vice President of Sales at Roomit. We're so excited to be part of GBTA Berlin 2018, and I'm sure you agree it's been a great conference. Things can move pretty quickly in the travel industry. It was just over a year ago that at GBTA in Boston that we actually unveiled Roomit. Since then, our driving force has been around the notion, give business travelers more choice, transparent, relevant choice, and they will make the right choices. And I'm sure no matter what your business is here, whether you're in air travel, rideshare, procurement, or hotel distribution like myself, we can agree our customers want choice, from pleasure-loving millennials to technology enthusiasts that want smart rooms. And understanding today's business traveler and the business traveler of the future, their expectations, their habits are critical to achieving your program goals, and ultimately the goals of your overall business. And this is why we've been excited to share our new research that we've undertaken with GBTA on how we can improve our hotel programs in 2019. We've surveyed travel buyers and travelers and discovered their needs. We've also looked at where the gaps are. And when we can identify those, we can look at how we can look at our travel policy, traveler behavior, and bring more of those rogue travelers back into your preferred channels and provide a better user experience. So whether your goal is to reduce cost, drive compliance, or increase your traveler satisfaction, we want to share those tips with you so you can improve your program. At Roomit, our mission is to provide an exceptional feel-good booking experience. And whether we're giving your business travelers access to better rates or providing your travel managers with the critical data that they need to make their jobs easier, business travel is seeing momentous growth, and so are we. To learn more about where we're heading, there's still time. You can come to the CWT booth 41 to come visit us. Or alternatively, Roomit is the proud sponsor of the GBTA On Demand. And there you can access footage from Center Stage, as well as the educational sessions where you can learn about the survey that we've done with GBTA on business travel. So for more information on that, will be provided at the end of the conference.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to Center Stage VDR board member Bernd Schulz.
Guten Tag, hello, and I hope you all have a great afternoon. Welcome to the Accommodation panel, The Tech Effect. We have panelists from various areas on stage, hotel, startup, and 2 major booking platforms. And we will talk technology, innovation, and we'll try to work out why technology innovation very often stops at the front door of the hotel. And let's see if we can also hit all the buzzwords in technology actually, or at the moment, AI, machine learning, and blockchain. So today we have at the panel Mark von Linden, Global Commercial Director of Booking.com, Martin Biermann, CPO at HRS, Leonard de Jong, Chief Commercial Officer of Citizen M Hotels, and last but not least, Erik Jan Kausch, Founder and CEO at Accommodation. Please welcome them on stage. So welcome, guys.
Thank you.
It was planned also as a diverse channel, but unfortunately your colleague is sick today, so thanks for jumping in on a very short notice. And I would like to start with Leonard. I just said quite often innovation stops at the front door of the hotel. So this is what the travelers experience when they are traveling. A lot of is organized in the front, but then they still have to queue in front of the check-in, queue in front of the check-out, and quite a lot of processes in the hotels are still pretty manual. So when checking out your website, I realized that you are quite often called the tech hotel. So in the reviews, great tech hotel, this is a tech hotel. And I also found your 1-minute check-in, check-out guarantee. So what do you do different than the others?
Well, I think it doesn't start with tech. It starts, it starts with looking at frustrations that travelers have. And I've had the experience this morning myself. There were 6 people behind the front desk checking out, a queue of 6 people each. And so people literally had to wait 15 minutes to check out. And if you look at nowadays customers, they're simply not accepting it anymore. If you're at home, you're expecting a pizza to be there in 10 minutes. So you're not accepting anymore to wait for check-in or for checkout. So that was the basis, that frustration of travelers. We looked at what frustrates people, and tech is an answer to a lot of those things. So we've automated our check-in processes and checkout processes already for 10 years. It just now also moved to online, right? You can do this on your phone. There's iPads in every room that control the entire room. So that's the front end part of it, but there's also a back end part, and I think that's what a lot of people don't realize. And that's where hotels need to invest in, just like airlines, making sure that the tech operates, that your Wi-Fi is, super fast, that your rooms that are fully high tech are working. If you're staying in this hotel and your air conditioning is malfunctioning at the moment, you only find out tonight when you're coming back to the room, and there's no service engineer anymore. So we have a lot of tech running in the background that is constantly monitoring that, make sure that stuff works for people, and that's. Yeah, you see that back in the reviews. We don't write it ourselves. People recognize it.
That was just a funny discussion we had in the background. So, but I think when people claim that there's technology or it's a tech hotel, then it's a visible part. So the visible part, I agree with you. All in the background, it has to work, and this is what also I, as a guest, would expect. But visible then is, you mentioned iPads, you mentioned speedy check-in. Is it there are no queues? How do they check in fast?
Yeah, so we've eliminated the front desk. We did it in 2008 when we started with our first hotel at the Amsterdam Airport Hotel. And it's not that we have small hotels. All of our hotels and our global locations have a couple of 100 rooms. So how do you then do that? So you have to be 100% spot on with your automation, because if there's no front desk with 6 people behind it to check in, at an airport location, it's one night. So it's free on the check-ins, free on the checkouts every day. And there's no queue. So there's machines that are taking care of it, but there's always a human next to it, right? So we're not saying hotels should be soulless, they should not be humans. We're just saying give the computer work to the computers.
Okay.
Right, and let the human be the human. So that's the surprising factors. We have actors in every hotel, and actresses, and musicians, and we're not necessarily hiring from hotel schools because they don't have to do anything. Okay.
Very interesting. Now, this is solving this challenge in one hotel, or in one hotel chain, one hotel group. When I look into the industry, we had quite a lot of, over the last years, Konichi was a very active part of HRS to kind of do the same, but via various hotel chains, various hotel groups. So you're supporting this with an app. Booking is, to my understanding, also supporting this. So are you taking on the technology burden for the hotels, Martin?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have to, because when we look at the global hotel portfolio, then basically you will recognize that 75% of hotels are individual hotels, and they usually do not have the IT experts basically in their basement that can manage all the servers and all the IT infrastructure that is needed in order to support anything from a virtual payment down to the mobile door opening system. So this is where we need expert companies like Konichi in particular, who bring cloud-based solutions to the hotels and basically enable hotels also to have a seamless experience no matter what brand basically you're staying at.
How is it on Booking? Is it?
Yeah, well, we also partner with various payment solution providers in the world. I think the challenge with payments is also that it's a very local business, so controlled by local currencies and by local central banks. So that's on the supply side. And but I think we are definitely investing either together or also in payment systems, ranging from bank transfers to partnership with Alipay and WeChat, for example. But the challenge is it's a very local game.
In my preparation, I found that PCI DSS specifically is a major hurdle for hotels because all the credit card security they have to put in place, all the various staff they have, changing people, also hard to find people in the meantime for hotels, so they are short on staff. And it seems that you are really supporting that, so you're replacing the credit card payment process, both of you, in the hotel. So wiring money to
Please go.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it's a big problem. I mean, holistically, looking at the hotel industry, we're dealing with 40% of global data theft happening in the hospitality industry. That is in particular hotels and restaurants, and in particular passports and credit cards. And when we look at surveys, how many hotels basically claim to be PCI certified, which you have to be when you handle actual credit cards, we find only 7% of hotels are PCI compliant. So what they usually do is they basically keep the credit cards stored with the distributors and OTAs, and then whenever you want to check in, they have to figure out, okay, which website do I have to now log in order to take the credit card out and do the authorization and even payment. And with Konichi in particular, Konichi Pay is a solution which basically enables them with a one-tap checkout. So basically when I'm the traveler, I'm checking in and I have something from the minibar, from the restaurant and so on, and it all goes to my mobile bill. Then I can do some bill splitting on my private card or my corporate card, depending on the policy. It's all in the background. And then when I want to check out, basically this is all sent to the front desk and they just have to do one tap. And basically Konichi pays out to the hotel. So there's no need anymore to handle credit cards.
Well, I think it's a problem that's waiting to be fixed. Come on, it's 2018. PCI compliance is not that difficult. You just need to have the consent of the consumer to be able to charge to the card. The only problem here is that the discipline that we've had within the hotel industry to just charge a credit card based on the fax that comes in of a travel management company saying please charge this card. First of all, it's not scalable, right? So you get hundreds of faxes. So we've already turned off the fax machine. I think we never had a fax machine. You pay the machine, and the machine says yes or no. Right? So we've been PCI, DSS, whatever compliance since before it was invented. So I understand exactly the problem that you're solving, and also Booking.com is solving, and I welcome them to solve it, because that's in the end the problem of a company. They don't want people to pay themselves, to carry the receipt and everything. They would like to take care of this beforehand. But running to credit cards for me is not the the option. It costs the hotel a lot of money to accept credit cards, and I'd much rather get my money from Booking.com or HRS or whatever corporate directly on my bank account.
Yeah. Do you see a trend? Because I mean, a lot of complexity is because very often you go into the hotel and the final invoice or the final payment is only determined when you leave. So when you check out. So you have a guarantee, you send the card for guarantee, then you guarantee your room when you check in, and then finally you swipe your card when you leave the hotel. Standard processes, probably not in your hotel. Do you see a trend that the rate types are changing, like in the airline industry, where you just prepay and the hotel is paid on your arrival for the next 3 days, and then all add-ons will be paid separately? Is that a trend that we see?
Well, I think the trend is that people, and the trend is initiated by the likes of Booking.com that are communicating more about this. So people are more used to pay for their hotel stay and to be more on fixed rate conditions. But again, we've been doing this on all our channels. So the moment that you book with Citizen M, you get an email. So if you would like to prepay, click here. But that's an e-commerce website. So the majority of our business is prepaid before people arrive, and they want to take care of it. So people want to take care of it, but they want to do it in a good way. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to send authorization faxes anymore to a hotel with a copy of my credit card and my identity. But that's still the case in the hotel industry.
Yeah.
But I think in this case, it's also you have a very modern philosophy in terms of how you handle all of your day-to-day business. But also we have to realize that in terms of fragmentation of the PMS, the hotel management systems, we stopped counting after 1,500 different systems that are out there in the world. So the legacy in these systems and the fragmentation is also a real problem. And it needs to change, and it will change, but it will take a bit of time.
Yeah. Eric? As we are talking a lot about purchase, procurement, payment.
I like the discussion about PCI compliance because we exactly have suppliers which still work on fax basis. So this is the point where we start to digitize our supply, and then of course we try to already bring up all the learnings that happen to the hotel industry and try to combine it into the service department segment. Because that's exactly the point. We have multiple smaller and medium-sized suppliers. They all rely on different kind of sometimes paper and pencil systems, which are very not easy to digitize. And I think that's exactly the point, how to get them a solution which is helping them in their daily business, but also is enabling all the customers to have a very easily process. And I think that's always the combination, PCI compliance or payments. It's just one of the part. If you take it into billing and accounting and try to make it a solution which is actually helping the end consumer or the company, I think that's one of the points where all these particular problems, they have to be solved as a solution in the full segment.
But I learned you also automate or digitalize the way to the corporate. That you send invoice based on purchase orders, replacing credit card payment from the corporate company. Can you share something about that?
I think one of the biggest points that we were struggling with is that we have a very long average length of stays. So we have 87 nights in average. And by that, the basket size is totally different to the OTAs that were used to the normal credit card payments of around 120, maybe 200 euros. So you can imagine if there is a business traveler starting a trip and 4,000 euros are gone on your credit card, that's not the best situation to start with. And so we had to think about a solution that we take away the pain that the company has to do any wire transfer anymore, stuff like that. So we built a solution for that to actually get into this money flow and be the single solution to help out the company on all these purposes. So search, find, and book is the classical OTA thing, but then also aggregate bills and make them into a process that is exactly fitting to the customer. Because that's always the point when we think about standards, and that's pretty nice, but we have always the problem that there are big companies and they have already some things in their company which needs to be integrated. And that's where we are very open to say, okay, we have structured data, we can throw it everywhere. We just need to know that the process that we are running on, which is basically booking service departments, that this is where we are in charge and where we can handle it better than anyone else. But from the point of accounting, analytics, we prefer your solution that you already have. We're happy when you can provide them.
I like the solution. However, I think there's a couple of travel managers that fear that solution because they have procurement departments since years asking to book travel via purchase orders in the standards of the procurement departments, and they always say, well, we are different, it's credit card payment, different type of suppliers, different type of orders. When you now come in with purchase orders, some may not welcome this.
As I said, we started by digitization of the fax.
Open the box of Pandora. But it's good. I like the solution. GDPR, we discussed. How do you make sure if I travel or if I book via booking.com and if I want from all my bookings, all my track records being deleted in the hotels and in booking? It's because that's also a big technology part, unfortunately, where we have to follow those regulations.
Yes. No, I fully agree. Well, booking.com is fully GDPR compliant. And we work with our partners and the hotels to make sure that we follow those processes.
Is there a technology way that you do it, or how do I have to understand that this works?
Yeah, it's a combination of technology where we connect our partners through connectivity, either through connectivity partners or through our extranet access, and or by procedures.
Okay. I learned from you, Martin, that you do this, buzzword, do this with blockchain.
True.
So how does this work?
Yeah, that was actually the kickoff moment around mid of last year, where basically the entire GDPR discussion cooked up very heavily here in Europe lately. And we have founded a couple of years ago an innovation hub here in Berlin, and all very smart people and engineers around. And we were thinking, okay, what does it mean for us and our corporate customers, basically? And there it's slightly different, because it's not only that we need to provide this to the end traveler, the ability to have an understanding, where's my data, where did it go, who has it, and when I want to delete it, how can I make sure it's deleted? But ultimately, our corporate customers who employ those people have a legal obligation to do so, and to have an audit report ready at any moment. And that was the reason for us to say, okay, how can we drive a technology that can automate this on global scale? Because we're working all from, let's say, San Francisco to Shanghai and beyond. And so we used IBM Hyperledger platform in order to build our own hospitality blockchain. And the first use case that we developed together was one of our most prominent customers, Siemens. They were our guinea pig in this and our pilot customer. Was to, from the moment of booking, funneling all the personal information, including card information and passport information for a pre-check-in, onto a record in the blockchain. You could count it as a, let's say, corporate PNR 2.0, very extendable, but largely encrypted. And whenever in the hotel somebody pulls up this record in order to check you in or to check you out or to do anything with your data, this is recorded based on the per-person account in the system. And later on, when you check out, we automatically notify the hotel to remove those records, because there's no more reason to keep the personal information. And yeah, so we can provide a global report on which hotel has deleted the information, and if not, whether you have to file a lawsuit eventually.
So I understand that Siemens works with that, but how does it end in the hotel? Because we just talked about fax machines in hotels,
right?
And so the printout blockchain information on a fax,
nope.
or
that would take a lot of ink and toner ink. I think no.
So how many hotels do you have? Playing with that?
We have a couple of hundreds hotels right now in Germany and in China, in Shanghai and Beijing, testing the solution.
Okay.
And the way why they basically we gave them another website for this, which normally they would not accept. But they wanted to basically go this direction because they usually struggle with the various identification mechanisms of the corporates. So they negotiated rates, which should be protected. Not everybody should be able to book them. So they want to make sure who's checking in is actually the person from a corporate who's eligible to do so. So we basically build a mobile transaction number system in there so that the traveler is authenticated. And that was the breakthrough moment where the hotel said, okay, I want this because it simplifies my operations.
Leonard, you work with that already? No?
No.
Any plans or?
No, not really. No, I think we are in the hospitality industry. I mean, in the end, there was some interesting comments about the Siemens customer not being our customer, but an HRS customer. I attempt to challenge that. He's been in our hotel, and we probably got him to sign up to our programs. And after staying at Citizen M, you will want to come back. And but anyway, so the self-check-in processes don't really look up on websites and do special projects like that. So the moment that the reservation hits, as a record is being created in our CRM, and from there on we have a data record. So I think it's a very interesting initiative, especially if it catches a lot of wind. But that's with every idea that sits in the hospitality technology industry. Ideas are cheap. Execution is extremely difficult. I know you also want to talk about Book on Google, but those kind of initiatives, they usually die because there's 2,000 PMSs that you need to integrate this with. When Booking.com launched their payment solution, it was a piece of text in a comment field. Yeah, sorry, but our self-check-in processes don't read comment fields. Give us an API that we can work with. But in response from Booking.com is, of course, well, you're the only company that asks for an API that we can push a payment message to. The rest of the industry is still waiting on a fax. Yeah,
too fragmented and too
fragmented when it comes to technology. So I completely understand the initiative, and I think it's a great initiative. But yeah, let's see if it catches wind in this fragmented environment.
Yep. So talking about what technology can do, you mentioned, Eric, that you're kind of the only one that can make reservations for longer than 30 days, because usually these other systems cannot accept those reservations, or they make 2 or 3 or 4 reservations in a row. So how did you do that?
I think one of the biggest points is that I studied music business and I don't have any clue of travel. So when we started 3.5 years ago, we were like, oh, easy, there's travel technology. We just combine all the systems and make it a little bit different approach for the customer, compare room types next to each other. And then we found out that there's a lot of legacy systems. Not only a lot, it's too much. And then when we tried to, we integrate into some central reservation systems, we tried to integrate to GDS systems, and then we found out, okay, basically everything with data, it's shit in, shit out. So a lot of the houses don't provide long stay rates in a digital way. And that was the point where we found out, okay, we don't need just an extranet, we just need an apartment management system tool to create rate plans that are capable of long stays. So that's what we built up completely after the first year of learnings. And then we created our own ecosystem, which basically is the value chain that is classically adapted from the hotel industry. And on both sides, we try to use as much travel technology as it is already there, but rate plans from 30 days on up to 2 years, making it digressively and more interesting for travelers to book longer. That was exactly the challenge that we solved with our own rates and availabilities. And that's pretty cool because we enrich every property with these kind of rates. So we have a lot of exclusive rate points that we can play out in our own environment. And of course, we don't want to challenge the houses too much because we can't ask them for giving us availabilities and rates for all the future. So we also have automized this kind of individual request stuff. So we call it the RFP system. So if there is not an availability preloaded, we just interact with the houses on our own platform automatically. And that pretty much is cool because this is solving the problem that when you wanted to book a service apartment, it took you up to 5 days to get offers from the different kind of operators. And you still couldn't really compare them because these were apart hotels, this is like these smaller apart buildings, and now we try to bring them together in one platform.
So you replace the property management system.
We especially call it apartment management system because it's not handling all the things that a property management system is doing.
You just mentioned it, and also we are cautious of time here. Book by Google was just announced. So the major difference I understood is that you can book and stay in Google, and Google is transferring the information directly into the hotel reservation system, so bypassing the OTAs. Are the two of you looking for new jobs now, or is it?
Well, I've worked at Google before, so
okay.
Maybe I can comfort them.
Very happy where I am.
Google hasn't called us yet for an integration into our management system, so I still have the feeling that they're going to transact through Booking.com or HRS.
That's exactly the point.
Yeah.
We see we talked about Constantine mentioned also a very confused world of constant new technologies, and we mentioned all the integrations that are needed to get an end-to-end solution in this space, and that means from the PMS side to the payment side to the reservation systems, and it's very, very, very complex, as we have learned throughout the years, and you've learned in the first year with the 30-day window. And although Google is an amazing company, it will require them to build these interactions and integrations with all of the parties that are out there, including the OBTs and including all the systems that are being deployed by the travel managers.
And I would agree for the audience here, it's mainly also targeted for the leisure market, or for those with probably without a travel policy or free booking policies. So I would also see the main target group in that area.
Absolutely, I think it's a tremendous win for the traveler, for the booker, basically to have everything in one click. That's for sure. But there's the managing the distribution is one end, but also I see it takes a little bit more in expertise for individual hotel also to basically manage this online marketing channel to the extent that it is needed then with managing ads on Google essentially. And for the corporate audience, of course, it's a little bit more than a book now button. Yeah, basically it starts with selecting the right hotels, negotiating them down to the virtual payment integration, and making that stuff work everywhere globally takes more than just that change.
Okay. We worked out, and the world is complex. Complexity, as Konstantin already said, is increasing big time, specifically in the hotel market with all the various players, all those local systems. And I think for good reason, a lot of travel managers or decision makers are confused with all that. And I'm looking forward for the next conference to see in 1 year or 2 years if there's more clarity or if there are some players have kind of eased that up. So thank you.
If the fax is still there.
Fax will, I agree, fax will still be there. So thank you for your participation and have a good day.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, to wrap up GBTA Conference 2018 Berlin, please welcome back to the stage GBTA Regional Vice President EMEA Catherine McGavock and Executive Director VDR Hans Ingo Biel.
Well. So here we are,
Yes.
at the end of another conference. It's been our biggest yet, with 1,100 registrations. Wow.
Yeah. We tried some new things this year, and we really hope that you enjoyed them. But please let us know what you think and about the rest of the event in the post-conference survey. And don't forget, as you heard from Catherine earlier, you can relive some of your magic conference moments on our on-demand platform.
Thank you. Merci. Dankeschön. Thank you to all for coming. Thank you to all of the many volunteers who really helped in developing this year's conference program. Yeah, give them an applause. And thank you to all exhibitors and sponsors. Without them, we couldn't do it. By the way, right after this, please join us for lunch in the expo and see your friends and have a last chat before you go home. We wish you safe travels, and we hope to see you all in next year's conference in Munich from November 19th to 21. Bye-bye, and see you soon.